Famous archers from history. Einar Tambarski. Einar Tambarski was a Viking nobleman during the 11th century. He led a rebellion against a Viking king, Olaf Haraldsson. He was a very strong warrior and a great archer, gaining notoriety in the Battle of Svolder in 1000 AD. Horace A. Ford. Known as one of the greatest target archers of all time, Horace A. Ford, 1822 to 1880, is also the author of Archery, Its Theory and Practice, one of the all-time classics of archery literature. He picked up a bow relatively later in life, in 1845 when he was 23 years old, but soon afterward began winning tournament after tournament and championship after championship. Howard Hill. Howard H. Hill. Original name, Lemuel Howard Hill. November 13, 1899 to February 4, 1975. Was an American archery legend. Growing up in rural Alabama, Howard began shooting at a very young age. He set world records and won 196 field archery competitions in a row. He would later become involved in the Hollywood movie industry as an expert marksman and stuntman for several movies, most notably The Adventures of Robin Hood, 1938. He liked to do trick shots and highly difficult long-range shots. He would shoot apples off people's heads at a certain distance. When this was accomplished, he would use even smaller objects and shoot them from an ever greater distance. Ishi. Ishi was a well-respected by flint knappers and makers of traditional archery equipment, mostly of Native American designs. He was the last known member of the Native American Yahi people who resided in California. Unfortunately, his tribe was all but wiped out, and he was the last person to carry on some of its traditions. He was taken in by the faculty at the University of California, Berkeley. Saxton T. Pope, a professor of medicine and an avid archer himself, had treated him for various ailments, and they became friends. They went on many hunting expeditions together, and Ishi taught Saxton the ways of the bow and arrow building that had been passed down among the native peoples of North America. Saxton T. Pope. Saxton Temple Pope, September 4th, 1875 to August 8th, 1926, was close friends with Ishi, the last member of the Yahi tribe in California. He befriended Ishi after he had taken him in by the faculty at the University of Berkeley. They became close friends, and Ishi taught Saxton all about bow and arrow designs and manufacture according to Yahi tradition. After Ishi's death, Saxton became even more involved in bow hunting, as he basically is known as the father of American bow hunting. Saxton and another hunting companion, Arthur Young, went on several infamous bow hunts, especially for grizzly bears at Yellowstone National Park. They used bows of traditional design, and several of the bears are on display at the California Academy of Sciences. Saxton later wrote an influential book on bow hunting, Hunting with the Bow and Arrow, which remains in print to this day. Jack Churchill. Mad Jack Churchill was a class act, known for his service with the British Army in the Second World War. He was famous for going into battle with his broadsword, bagpipes, and of course a longbow. He saw action all over Europe during and after World War II. After the war, he was known to practice archery and was even featured in movies as an archer. 1952 Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer production film, Ivanhoe. Minamoto no Tamitomo. Known as a samurai of unparalleled archery ability, legend has it he sunk a ship with a single shot by shooting through its hull beneath the water. He is usually always depicted with his Yumi war bow. Legends also has it that his left arm was significantly longer than his right, allowing him to have an exceptionally long draw. His most famous military action was the Hogan Rebellion of 1156 AD. Nasu no Yoichi. Another legendary samurai, Nasu no Yoichi, was also well known for his feats in archery during the heat of combat. His most notorious feat was at the Battle of Yashima, 1184, in the Genpei War. This conflict was fought between the Nasu clan and the Minamoto clan, and their adversaries, the Taira clan. During the battle, the Taira had placed a fan on a mast, taunting the enemy to shoot it down. Nasu, on his horse in the waves, had managed to shoot it down on the first shot. Yu Fei, an influential military general and artist from medieval China, Yu Fei was known as an exceptional archer. Yu Fei becomes the adopted son and apprentice to Zhao Tong, a famous master of military skills. After many long years of training, Zhao Tong enrolled his student in a military school where his archery prowess is put on full display. 60 years after Yu Fei's death, his grandson published a biography of his famous grandfather. His grandson mentions his father's great strength in drawing a military bow. Yu Fei possessed a supernatural power, and before his adulthood he was able to draw a bow of 300 katis, 400 pounds or 180 kilograms, and a crossbow of 8 stone. Yu Fei learned archery from Zhao Tong. He learned everything and could shoot with his left and right hands. Jebe. Jebe was a general of the Mongol Empire's big boss, Mr. Genghis Khan himself. In the early days of Temujin's future empire, when he was still consolidating his power on the steppes of Mongolia, Jebe was an enemy combatant. An arrow had wounded Genghis on his neck during the Battle of the 13 Sides in 1201 AD. Genghis and his supporters won the battle, and the future Khan asked the captured survivors who had shot him. Zurgadai confessed and said he was ready to die. If allowed to live, however, he would serve Genghis loyally. The Mongol Empire during Genghis Khan's rule was a meritocracy, as Genghis preferred promoting based on performance and loyalty, not the traditional family relations. Zurgadai would be renamed Jebe, Arrow in Mongolian, and would go on to become one of Genghis Khan's top generals. Fredbear. Regarded as a pioneer in traditional bow hunting, Fredbear, March 5, 1902 to April 27, 1988, founded his bow company in 1933, and it still operates today. Fredbear was influenced and inspired by Art Young of the Pope and Young Club, another traditional archery pioneer. Although he started archery fairly late, 29, he would go on to win many archery hunting competitions all over the world. He would go on to promote the sport of traditional bow hunting until his death in 1988. Kashai Lajos. Kashai is considered the creator of the modern sport of horseback archery. His interest in the method of combat of his ancestors, the Magyars and the Huns, led him to begin building bows based on the designs of the Magyar bows of the conquest period. His bow company produces bows based on designs from many nations who used horseback archery as a method of combat and hunting, including the Mongols, Scythians, and Avars. Lajos Kashai is a true martial artist and has won every contest he has entered, as well as establishing several world records. His records are basically endurance tests on his archery course. In his first Guinness World Record he set, Kashai rode for 12 consecutive hours on a relay horses and shot over 1,000 arrows. Thank you for watching.